Will Tommy Vercetti be in Grand Theft Auto 6? It's a question that has definitely come up a few times to me, and one that I think is a little bit of an interesting one to tackle. No doubt, most of us here have played Vice City at some point in our lives and fell in love with the character of Tommy Vercetti. He was our first spoken protagonist that really did offer something of real substance to the games. Not like our silent protagonist in Claude, who, while stoic in a performance, didn't have a lot of characterization, an argument that's been made time and time again for our online characters in GTA Online as well. But Tommy Vercetti, being played by the late great Ray Liotta, offered up something different. Here was a character that had some real panache and power behind them, not in least by the great Ray Liotta's performance. If you're not fully aware of who the great Ray Liotta is, might I suggest watching films like Goodfellas. Absolutely amazing performer, and genuinely the best person that could have embodied this low-class scumbag criminal in Miami. Rockstar have brought characters back time and time again in the past, so what would make this any different? Well, in case you hadn't picked up on it by now, one of the things that I keep saying is the late great Ray Liotta. Sadly, we did lose the great Ray Liotta in May of 2022. Unfortunately, he passed away, leaving behind a great void of an actor that sadly isn't here anymore. But does that change whether Tommy will appear in Grand Theft Auto 6? Well, there's a couple of things to consider here. Number one is that the voice work for GTA 6 could have been done anywhere between late in 2019, anywhere up to 2024. It's quite a big window that gives us opportunity to really understand if it's possible that Ray could have been brought in. One of the first things I would have imagined that Rockstar did when putting together GTA 6 and knowing they were going back to Vice City is probably utilizing the idea that Tommy in some shape or form could or would appear. We've had many noticeable cameos in the past, not least of all Ken Rosenberg popping up. We've had Tony from Gay Tony popping up, and various other side mentions of characters, even as far as Luis being on Tony's desk in GTA Online, does hint towards Rockstar's affinity for bringing back older and past characters that have full lore in this world. Now, did they get Ray to come in and record anything? They haven't said, and they're probably not going to say. If this is a cameo that appears in the game, it's going to be something that they're going to keep under wraps as tightly as possible. This would be probably his last post-humorous acting role that he's in, and I would imagine they want to honor that legacy that is attached to Tommy Vercetti. Let's not forget, Vice City did a lot for GTA. GTA 3 may have been the best game of its time, but Vice City added so much more and so much more credibility and life to everything Rockstar was creating. Ray Liotta is a huge part of that process. He added so much characterization to Tommy that it becomes apparent that they would bring him back. If you had to ask me, I would genuinely say, yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't have tried to have brought him back, but the main question becomes, in a post-pandemic and pandemic lockdown time, did they get the chance? Let's not forget, when they were really ramping up production here, it is sometime between 2020 and 2023. As most of you know, because we were all in this together, a lot of us were at home, including actors, and some of which do have their own dedicated sound booths in their homes for recording audio and stuff like that. Does Ray Liotta, or did Ray Liotta have one? I don't know. But it's a good time to get hold of him if they could have. There is a huge question mark as to whether there is a voice of Tommy Vercetti in the game, but even without Ray Liotta's iconic voice lines and delivery, is it possible that Tommy could be in the game anyway? I think by mention, it is insanely possible and is definitely going to happen. There will be some callback to Vice City in the 1980s and a guy rising to prominence like Tommy Vercetti, maybe not by name, but it will be mentioned. Rockstar have done this in the past as well, and it's something that they like for their world building, a subtle nod to the audience that says, we know what you're after and here's your fan service. So that gives us two different ways that it's possible, both a spoken role and in mention. You can even go as far as have some kind of tribute in the game to him. Pictures, maybe a plaque or a street name. There's lots of different ways that you could honor the legacy of Tommy Vercetti and Ray Liotta as an actor for adding so much to these games. Do I think he will be in it? Yes would be my best guess and my best answer. Do I think it'll be a spoken role voiced by Ray Liotta? That's harder to say. I know 100% it wouldn't be anyone else besides Ray Liotta voicing that character, so if he does appear with a spoken role, we can guarantee that Ray did at some point manage to get in some time to record dialogue for Rockstar. They're not going to use anybody else, so we can get rid of that theory completely. The other thing that's kind of worth really mentioning at this point is that Ray Liotta's experience working on GTA Vice City, wasn't the best. There's numerous reports and interviews with Ray over the years where he talks about how he felt like he was underpaid and disrespected in some shape or form by Rockstar. Now, how much of that is just Hollywood ego and how much of that is truth is up for debate. It's hard to say, especially in the early 2000s when gaming was still seen as this pretty nerdy hobby. Getting people on board like Ray Liotta to voice a character in a game at this point is an insane idea, and one that most of us didn't really have our head round. You have to bear in mind, before this, any kind of celebrity voice acting in video games was, I think Bruce Willis did a video game that was really, odd, and he did his actual voice acting, and it was back on the PlayStation 1. There really wasn't many times that professional celebrity voices and voice actors and actors in general had gone near gaming. Ray was kind of one of the earliest in that way. It's also one of the reasons that over time, Rockstar moved away from using celebrity voice actors is because of the conflict of ego, the agent stuff, and all of the different things that they would need to bring them on board became too much work and too much money. So in the end, Rockstar just kind of ended up going, okay, we'll get lesser known actors who aren't as big as someone like Ray Liotta or Samuel Jackson in San Andreas and bring them on board. And don't get me wrong, it's worked perfectly. I think it's no argument that Sean Fontino, Ned Luke, and Stephen Ogg have carried the series greatly across the last 12 years, providing some of the greatest voice acting that we've had in Grand Theft Auto. So I think Rockstar's validated in doing it, but I don't know whether that means they will have brought Ray back. But I am curious to know as to what you guys think. Do you guys think that Ray Liotta will be making an appearance in some shape or form, or do you think we'll just get references to Tommy Vercetti and the Vice City legacy? At the end of the day, this is the first time we've been back to Vice City since 2002, and that is a really long time of waiting to find out just how Vice City panned out as a place. Regardless of everything, I think it's an important footnote to look back on, and I think it's something that should be asked as a question because I would love to see him pop up. Even if it is just in reference, I think it makes a difference. It gives us a full circle moment for Tommy's story. However, this has been another midweek entry. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on Sunday for the next main video.